At the moment, I don't think that Tingana is terribly keen on his pork breakfast. Now, before the Carmine bee eaters decided to make the number of kills this morning, we were chatting about why it is that Tingana hasn't fed on his warthog. And yesterday we talked about heat stroke possibilities with leopards, and I said that they don't get heat stroke. What I meant at that was when they're resting in the shade, they don't get heat stroke. But what they can do is they can seriously overheat when they hunt, which is why, unless their chase is successful over a short distance, they are unlikely to try and continue. Ah, there we go, he's cooled down enough. Difficult for some people to watch, just for sensitive viewers. It is a tiny baby warthog. There we go, now he's feeding. He's cooled down enough to consume it. And with leopards was fascinating to watch. Because although we always talk about hyenas being the great bone crunchers, with tiny kills like this, there's a good chance that he could eat absolutely all of that warthog. I've seen Karula do it with a steenbok. It was incredible. In 20 minutes, she'd consumed everything except part of the lower jaw. Especially young animals, their bones aren't fully formed and aren't fully calcified, so they're still soft in places. Notice how on alert he is, constantly sniffing the air. What's interesting about Tingana, not to inspire any kind of panic, he's absolutely fine, but he isn't in the best condition I've ever seen him in. You look at all of the lumps on the top of his neck there and around his head, those are ticks. And I personally have never seen quite an infestation like that on that thick patch of skin on a cat. I've seen it before around the softer areas, but that thick, dense patch of fur, I guess, as Scott said, he can't really reach there to remove them, so maybe it's just a coincidence. But I think maybe his time mating with Tundi, he's neglected to feed himself and to look after himself. It's taking a bit of recovery time now. He's also covered in scratches across his face. Whether or not that is from the mating, it's most likely. But you never know what goes on in these secret lives of these leopards. And he could well have had a disagreement with another male. That being said, I'm not saying that he looks ill. I think he's absolutely fine. And he is now munching away on breakfast, using those carnassial teeth to slice through bits of skin, meat, and bone. And that bite force is fierce. Might not be to the same equivalent of a hyena, but there's still an incredible crushing power there, particularly in a leopard this size. Those powerful neck and jaw muscles. And there's nothing more phenomenal than watching a cat like this in action. I'm having a quiet chuckle at a viewer's suggestion that Tingana is having a BLT sandwich, a bacon, leopard and Tingana. So, mobile patty, I think that is a winning comment. I really enjoyed that. A BLT, a bacon, leopard and Tingana sighting. I don't think Tingana appreciates the humour, though, although he's certainly appreciating his warthog. Now, I think that he had just made this kill not too long before we arrived on the scene. And I think that's why he was not feeding on it straight away. He took a moment to just cool down after the fury of the chase. Now, I've been looking around where we are. I don't see any termite burrows where the warthogs might have been hiding, although Tingana is an expert. Ah, never mind. Scott's just pointed out the one that is currently hidden behind the marula tree. Very valid point, Scott. So there's a marula tree blocking my view. Behind that is a termite mound. Yeah, no, there's no way we can see it, but you'll have to take our word for it for now. Now, we know that Tingana is a professional tunnel stalker. I don't know how else to term it. We've seen him go down after baby warthog before, and that's a brave move, because if Mom is down there, and we've spoken before about the fact that warthogs back hind quarters first, with their heads facing out when they go down into their burrows, he could be seriously injured in those attempts. So he's obviously exhibits the most incredible patience in making sure that there's nothing threatening before he descends into this termite burrow, into the termite burrows. Whether or not that was the case, or whether he ambushed this little warthog when it came out to feed, we will never know. But apparently he's also an expert at hunting aardvark. Amazing how leopards specialize, different characters specialize in different things. Crunch. Crispy pork. You could see how he is just eating bones and all. Sure. I also would have done that if I'd just swallowed that hunk of bone that he just swallowed. And while Tingana consumes his kill, Brent has found one of his most annoying friends. So let's pop over and we'll be back very shortly.
There we go, a little vervet monkey atop a guarri bush. I bet he's quite glad Tingana is far away from here. Otherwise he'd be sitting in that tree making lots of noise. So if you're a predator, a monkey is a very frustrating creature. They've got incredibly good eyesight, and they're able to sit out of reach and shout at you. Not my best monkey impression. Not even a reaction from the vervet. So there's some more further into the bush. We can't really see them too well. Hello, nonsense. But we're going to continue on. I think I'm going to go look for some elephants now. We had that wonderful big bull this morning. Hopefully he's meandered into Djuma, so we're going to go have another look in that area. Unfortunately, those lion tracks have evaded me. I've done another loop around and another loop around. I just can't find them. So what I might do is just leave the area, let my brain reset, and then go back. But while we do that, let's head back to Jamie and Tingana and his bacon breakfast.
Gruesome but amazing scenes here on Djuma as Tingana continues to devour, and I suspect he is going to eat every single part of that warthog. And I mentioned this the other day with the Nkahuma kill, the contrasts that Africa provides. Looking at a leopard, a beautiful leopard like this male, in the morning sunlight, and then contrasted with the macabre vision of him consuming his warthog kill. It provides with the most incredible contrasts. With the sun shining through the leaves like this, wind howling. I have got absolutely no idea whether or not this warthog baby is one of the ones that we've seen fairly regularly. Monkey Man, you were saying it can't be one of the ones from the Djuma pan, or that you see on the Djuma camera. because we're too far away. Unfortunately, in that respect, I'm not sure that that's correct. We are far-ish, probably about 1.5 kilometers, maybe 2, although I think probably, there we go. That's a useful way of being able to, Scott's providing us with a map. Since, oh, excuse me, since I got a new phone, I haven't been able to download this particular program. But just to give you a rough idea, we are where this blue dot is over here. Here we go. And the Voyatella Dam is across, all the way across quarantine clearings, and that a big patch of blue that you're seeing there. Sorry, I choked on my own saliva there for a moment. I've forgotten how to breathe, talk, and concentrate at the same time. Thanks, Scotty. Oh yes, it could be. And the reason I say that is because in this drought, these animals have to travel much further distances in order to get access to water. I'll be very curious to see if Tingana actually eats the stomach contents. He's eating around them at the moment, and very delicately has managed not to puncture them. We've spoken about this before, the fact that the stomach contents release probably the most pungent part of a fresh kill. And he doesn't want to attract the attention of any scavengers. I'll be curious to see. Usually, the leopards actually extract the stomach contents first, once they've plucked the animal, and then eat around them to get to the organs. And quite often they drag the kill away from where they've dumped the stomach contents, so that they have extra time to distract, as a sort of a way of distracting scavengers. But with this tiny kill, he's going to be finished very soon. Oh, no, I think he might be eating stomach contents there. Bit gruesome for sensitive viewers. Yep, those are the intestines. What an awesome sighting. Hard to watch for certain people, but it's not often you get to witness something like this. Luckily, we don't have the super punch zoom. Sure. Just goes to show how capable these animals are of utilizing absolutely every aspect of the kill, particularly if they're hungry. And we said yesterday Tingana was looking very hungry. So it's nice to see that he has had a meal. Interestingly enough, this tiny piglet is probably mainly enjoying a diet of milk at this point, a combination of milk and solid food, which might also explain why he's more prepared to make use or utilize the stomach contents as part of the meal. Oh, no, he's just dragging that one out. He's still eating it, though. Amazing how adaptable these creatures are. Last time we saw Tingana with a kill, it was a zebra foal, and not a small zebra foal either. And this time we've seen him with a tiny little kill that almost barely seems worth the time and effort. But of course it is. Every meal counts out here. Now, yesterday evening, when we were with Tingana, we mentioned that we should keep an eye on the Djuma Dam camera to let us know if he walked across the dam wall. And Lynn in Michigan, you were wondering if any of us heard him sawing before he walked across the dam wall. And I know he did walk across the dam wall. A couple of you did send through to me, as we spoke about this morning, you did send through that update that he wandered through. I didn't hear him, Lynn, and I was probably awake at that point. That being said, there were a couple of people, we had guests around last night. It might have been that we were involved in conversation and we missed it. Usually when they do soar around the Djuma Dam camera, we usually hear it from our campsites, just because it's quite close. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time and don't know what we mean by sawing, it's a quite literal description of the sound that the animals make. Now, yesterday, Tingana, despite his stomach complaints, was desperately, or not desperately, but he was quite determinedly marking his territory and urine spraying and scraping his feet. And the next step is to call, and the sawing is a literal description of this way that it sounds. So it sounds like somebody's sawing wood. And I'm not going to do it now because I'm quite close to him and I don't want to disturb him from his meal. But a little bit later we can do our best impression of sawing. And I wonder if we shouldn't carry on Brent's theme and Brent's idea, which I think is sheer genius. Brent requested that some of the viewers send through their best mating leopard impressions. And I know that he tried to imitate them, and I tried as well at one point. So, well, I think our next step is, if you guys are up to it, if you feel up to the challenge, please send us through your best leopard sawing attempts. We are keen to hear it. I promise you it provides us with plenty of joy. We absolutely love it. And I promise you that if you do, then I will do my best leopard sawing imitation. And Scott, will you jump on board?
Most certainly.
There we go. While we contemplate our best ways of imitating leopards, let's pop over to Brent and have a look at the wildebeest on quarantine.
So we've caught up with the wildebeest herd on quarantine. And I'm sure a few of you will be very happy to know that it seems like they're doing a superb job. All 10 little ones are present and accounted for. And they're on cue. Little baby call. Now, I think if we saw some quite interesting behavior there. So if we come out to the right slightly, Bryan, we see there's that adult female who's been followed by last year's baby. And that baby was still suckling. And wildebeest normally are weaned after about 8 months, unless the female loses her calf this year. Then she will let last year's baby continue suckling. So this could be one of the wildies who lost her calves to the lions earlier on. So she's letting the baby from last year continue to suckle. So normally 8 months before they're weaned, but sometimes it can be 16 months. Oh, look at that. So Jamie's challenged everyone to leopard sawing, and she has challenged me as well. So wait, let me get ready. One has to think like a leopard. It'll sort of get into my spots, and let's go. There we go, leopard sawing. And a sore throat. But let's continue on, see what else is out and about. Speaking of leopards and leopard sawing, although I doubt Mr. Tingana is going to be doing much sawing over breakfast, but let's go see what he's up to.
From leopard sawing, and I'm glad that Brent is such a good sport, to leopard crunching, Tingana is approaching this warthog meal with absolute relish. There's no selectivity here. Is selectivity a word? As I said it, I cast doubt upon it. But he's not being, let's rephrase that, he's not being selective in the way that he eats. The entire warthog is going into his mouth and being consumed. It's actually fascinating to watch. I can almost guarantee there is not going to be one bit of that warthog left. And although it can be hard to watch and gruesome to see, it's still incredible to witness. And we are so privileged to be able to observe it, and to be able to observe it live. to bring that stream across to you all across the different corners of the globe. And Zahi, who's watching on YouTube, you were just saying how awesome it is to watch something maybe gruesome but raw and natural in a world, or on the internet, in a world essentially full of fairly unnatural content. To be able to witness something like this is special. And one of the joys, of course, about it is we can't write scripts for it, we can't change the story or edit things out that we don't like. These live safaris are the truest reflection of the way that the world works out here that we could possibly bring you. The animals write the stories, we just show you them and try to explain them to the best of our ability. And that beautiful tip of the white tail, always a giveaway when you're looking for a leopard. It shows up so clearly compared to the rest of them. And that incredibly tawny patterned coat, you can see so clearly. And I'm actually going to take an opportunity, since we have got this nice view of his coat, to talk about rosettes and spots. And I don't know how often that's being done for the new viewers. Have a look at the way in which his spots are patterned. And they almost form, they're not necessarily solid spots on the top parts of his body, especially around his back and his shoulders and his bottom. They almost form a flower with a slightly darker center, a black outline with a slightly darker center. That is what we refer to when we refer to rosettes. And it's one of the things that, for new and uninitiated people who come to visit the bush, it's one of the big differences between something like a cheetah and a leopard. So you spoke about those cheetah at Nkoro this morning. They have solid spots, like the solid spots around Tingana's face. Whereas with all leopards, they have what's known as rosettes around their bodies. And just in terms of other differences, stocky leopards are well-built, solid animals. They're much more powerful than cheetah. And obviously not built for the same mad sprint that the cheetahs are capable of. You can see how alert he is, even with that level of tension. Just bear with me one moment. Brent is just trying to get hold of me. Standing by. He's lying just off the road that runs between Philemon's Dip towards the Balanites Junction. People call it Finns or Rebecca's. I know it is Rebecca's. Copy that, you are more than welcome. Sorry, it wasn't Brent, it was Craig trying to get hold of me, just asking for instructions as to where the sighting is. And of course, always important to share these magical experiences. I'm the only vehicle here, you're more than welcome to join me. Craig, stand by. You should have my visual. Sorry, guys. Just nearly had Craig miss our sighting. Shame, he was on his way to join us. Nearly missed us completely. Awesome. There we go. And Tingana currently finishing off the last. It's incredible how rapidly this happens. How long have we been sitting here? Half an hour? Maybe? And already most of the warthog is gone. We have got this view of the ticks on the back of his neck, and Clown Sharon was wondering how he could get rid of them if he can't lick there. And of course predators don't allow ox pickers to sit on them. Clown Sharon. One thing he could do is he could rub the back of his neck and his shoulders on something like a tree to help him get rid of them. Otherwise, if it is just a random infestation, which could cure itself in its own way, because those ticks at some point will drop off in order to breed. So they gorge themselves and then drop off and lay their eggs on grass stems for a new generation of tick babies to start invading other host species. So it could be that he got unlucky in terms of just brushing up against a stem, something carrying a high tick load. And you'll notice, sorry, I'm quite distracted, and the reason I am is I'm just wanting to see what he keeps looking around at. I think it's just the fact that it is windy and he has a kill out in the open and it's making him nervous. So he's just on high alert. And I'm fairly certain that once he finishes this warthog, he's actually going to move from this area. He is nearly finished as well. And once he does move, depending on our time frame for this morning, we can come back and have a look at how much is left, and I can almost guarantee that there will be nothing. He has eaten the hair, the skin, the hooves, the organs. Watching a Tingana munch away at this, you can get an idea of what a bite-sized snack it really is for him. And Sue, who is watching all the way in Toronto, there goes a leg, hoof and all. Unbelievable. Hey Tingana, no wonder you get sore stomachs. He just crunched that entire foot, including the hard, solid keratin hoof. He was obviously very hungry. But Sue is wondering, with this bite-sized snack for Tingana, how long will it take him to digest this? And a tiny meal like this, probably only about a day or so, or a day and a half. And it will sustain him, but as all opportunists, leopards are, he could well kill again, even today, especially since it is windy. This is quite a small meal for a leopard of Tingana's size. But you've got to eat while the eating's good. Now, a warthog can be a dangerous target for something like a leopard, particularly the large adults, and generally even leopards of Tingana's size will show a little bit of reticence in terms of tackling an adult warthog. They will do it, but they will be reluctant to. And Monkey Man was wondering if the mother of this baby warthog was around, would it try to protect it? And yes, absolutely. And I've just actually very recently, funnily enough, seen pictures of a warthog attempting to gore a leopard that tried to kill her baby. I'm not quite sure what the outcome of that story was. I'm fairly certain the leopard managed to actually catch the youngster and escape the mother unharmed, but the mother did put some serious effort into spearing and chasing away the leopard that was attacking her offspring. So she would try and defend it. Against a big male like Tingana, she probably would have had very little success, and who knows, she may even have been around for this attack. But generally animals, and particularly maternal figures or mothers, will be very practical about the approach they take. They will try and defend their youngsters, but they pick their battles. You're more than welcome. Sorry, just chatting on the Game Drive channel, letting the other vehicle know that they can come into the sighting. There goes the last little bit of intestine. Apparently, Final Control saw a bird fluttering about. I'm afraid I didn't see it. I got distracted. I wasn't watching my monitor as I should be. Surely a bird wouldn't be that close to him. Scott and I are doubting the words of Final Control. We could turn... I did see movement there earlier. I think it... Oh, there is. There is too.
Really?
There's something moving there. Huh. Fascinating. Well done, Final Control. I don't know what it was, but there's... I wonder if it's a little rodent or something.
Oh.
Tail twitch. Oh, there's definitely something there.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't see on my tiny monitor. I just can see a fly.
Oh, it's moving at the back there.
Does it go higher? Or?
No, you're perfect. It's pretty much just below the middle of your screen. Could be an insect or something similar. That's a good point. Nikki's pointed out it could be a dung beetle. Whatever it is, there's something moving. Anyway, distracted. Both Scott and myself were quite surprised that there was a possibility of a bird moving through. We thought it was unlikely. Not impossible, but fairly unlikely at that close proximity to the leopard. And just like that, while we were distracted with our mystery movement, Tingana finished off his warthog. And that is that. Meal done and dusted in just over half an hour. An entire warthog from nose to tail tip disappeared. Here we go. I said he was going to move as soon as he finished his kill. The question is, how far is he going to go? There are 2 other vehicles in the sighting with us, and since we have had the best views of him so far, we're going to let them take the lead as we carry on and follow him a little bit. And while we do, I'm talking about, I think he's going to spray, he's still scent marking. If we're lucky, he might even soar for us, and we'll get an actual impression, and not just one of ours. And as this magnificent male disappears off, we will stay with him, but as he wanders away for now, Easy was wondering if leopards will ever hunt pangolins, and if we even get pangolins here. And we do get them. They are very, very highly endangered, probably the most unusual animal that you could see out here. I think the excitement of us seeing a pangolin on a live safari would probably outdo even our Mumba sighting this morning. But yes, we do get pangolins. And leopards do occasionally, more out of curiosity than anything else, attempt to hunt them. But most of the time, quite often without success. And I've seen a lion go for a pangolin before, and it was more out of curiosity, because pangolins, for those of you unfamiliar with them, are capable of curling themselves into a tightly protected ball. Sorry, just have to concentrate on getting out here. And they're covered in a protective layer of scales. Watch heads, everyone. Scott's got it. There you go. So yes, they're covered in a protection of thick scales that's almost impermeable. We want to go this way, I think, judging by where he's going. Which way is he going to go? This is where things could get tricky, ladies and gentlemen, going through this drainage line. And it's all up to Tingana now as to whether or not we can actually stay with him. as I give him a moment to just decide which way he's going to go, and discussing a little bit about the fact that Tingana seems to specialize in burrowing animals. Karen, you were wondering if maybe leopards have a favorite food. And the answer is it depends on the leopard, first of all. They certainly have a prey size selection. That being said, they're opportunists. As we've said, they will go for pretty much any kill that they can get. Wandering down into the drainage line. Which way is he going to go? Just want to make a decision based on his direction of movement. This area is a sort of a network of drainage lines. I think we can cross down there, Scotty. I'm thinking the same. We're going to try and go around so that we don't cause any damage to our vehicle. And while we loop around and try and catch up with Tingana, let's pop back over to Brent and I'll catch up with you shortly.
Jamie, thank you. And James, thanks very much.
Here we go. There's a bird that might be new for some of you. Whoa, off it pops. It was a red-faced mouse bird. There's still another one a little bit lower, Brian. I think. There we go. If we zoom in and slightly up to the right. You know, little red-faced mouse birds. So quite often considered a pest by farmers, especially fruit farmers. Large flocks can decimate fruit, and you quite often find farmers will put shade cloth over their fruit trees to protect them from mouse birds and other birds that are big fans of the fruit. As you can see, as it gets hotter, the impala are already moving into shade. And they're probably going to lie up and ruminate. And see, there's the ones moving out of the sun towards these guarri thickets. Oh, and then, Brian, if we go slightly to the right, and there we go, zoom in. Oh, he's coming towards us. Oh, there you go. The little red-backed shrike that took off there. Can't see where he landed, though, unfortunately. Anyway, the birds have been proving elusive this morning. Bryan and I have been, as we sort of get in, they take off. Get in, take off. It's just been one of those mornings for us, I'm afraid. But hopefully we'll be able to find something interesting before the end of the safari. I was hoping that there might be some ellies in this area where we saw the bull this morning. But so far, nada. So look at this. We've got, testing Bryan's camera work here, an African vagrant. You can see that lovely lime green, feeding on a Waltharia indica. That little fly does not have, look at that. Oh, you can see its proboscis.
And now the games begin to try and keep up with Tingana. Let's try and figure out where he's going to go. He's just ahead of me there, going through the drainage line. Now I'm going to have to go all the way around it. Where is he gone? Where'd he go? I just saw him. Oh, there he is. He's going to pop out in the open gap. Oh, no, he's not. He's going to be obtuse. Can you hear all of the testiculars alarm calling at him? So he's just on the other side of the drainage line. Unfortunately, I can't see a way through here without us going all the way around. So it might have been our last glimpse of him a few moments ago. I don't think that we can get through here. We might have to go all the way around. We'll try and... There he goes. All the way through that gap there.
I can't see him.
Yeah, you might not be able to see him from your perspective at all, Scotty. I can't even describe it. He's in the trees. The trees with the leaves.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there. You can see how dense the vegetation is there. I'm going to try and just see, but I don't think there is a way around. I think if the other vehicle that's in here with us hasn't been able to, then we might not be able to. Let's see, maybe we can get through here. Sorry, Scotty.
All good.
Planting Scott in thorn trees. Luckily, with a leopard on the move, we should be able to follow alarm calls of the animals as well. That might give him away. Oh, I don't want to get stuck here. Brent will never let me hear the end of it. Scotty? Quiet.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. This could be an interesting moment for all concerned. Here we go. Woo-hoo!
That's the deal.
Out of the way of flying branches. Now where's our leopard gone? I'm going to try and stay with him. In the meantime, Sibo Sisu's been looking at Tingana and saying that he's got that enormous flap of skin hanging down there. Oh no, that's me. Sorry, never mind. Imagination playing tricks on me. Sibo Sisu's noticed that incredible dewlap is the official name. With a thick patch of skin underneath the male leopard's throat. Sorry guys, I'm actually going to stop for a moment and just try and get a rough idea. But yes, Sibo Sisu wants to know what age they start developing that at. And the answer is usually around sort of 4 or 5, you'll start to see it clearly. Although even at about 1 or 2 years old, you can start to see the development of the thickness of the neck. I'm going to send you back across to Brent so I can concentrate. Stand by, be with you in one moment. And then we will catch up with you shortly.
So we've found a Peltaphorum africanum, also known as a weeping wattle. And this one's actually having a second bout of flowering for the year. This particular one flowered in November and was literally covered in all sorts of fruit chafers and jewel beetles and wasps and bees. And now it's almost like there's nothing on it. Oh, we have one near impossible. Sorry, Ryan. There's a tiny little blue butterfly, but this wind has blown it away. And I'm trying to see, and I'm looking in every flower, and I'm not seeing anything. But you can see from the first bout of flowering, it already has some pods. But it is looking quite sickly. And you can actually see the trees almost being burnt if we come down next to the GoPros there, Bryan. So the west-facing side of this tree is looking quite sickly from this extreme heat we've been having. And we come down a bit. There we go. Look, oh, there we go. Bryan's found even more burnt. But you can see the leaves are seriously drooping, and the leaves right in front of the GoPros, you can see they've almost lost that green color, and they're going sort of an orangey color at the moment. So really, really hot, really dry. The grass around us has also lost that green, that bright green tinge it had after that little bit of rain. It's starting to fade. Well, Let's hope this bird doesn't fly away. It's unlikely to, but it is one of the more common ones, but we're going to put it in the bank, so to speak. Cape turtle dove. You've lost him. There we go. Moving around, feeding on all the grass seeds that might be there. So let's leave that. Oh, some others joining the party, or not, flying past. So Virginia in Kentucky is wondering, do we get tetanus shots regularly, since we're always getting scraped and cut by branches and stabbed by thorns? We do get tetanus shots quite regularly, but generally you're not really going to have any issues from branches and thorns and things. More from rusty nails or rusty bits of a vehicle. Normally far more of an issue with tetanus, but yes, we do get tetanus shots regularly. Top of the Ziziphus, tiny little guys. Oh no, oh sorry, there's a southern black tit that's popped off to the other thing. But if we come back out, these wonderful, beautiful little canaries. Please don't fly away. There's still one there, I think. There we go. Brian's got them. Here we go. Beautiful little yellow-fronted canary. Like a lovely splash of colour. Off went with that dry bush behind. Another little seed eater that often seen along the ground, only when disturbed do they fly up into the trees. Also, it feeds on all the little grass seeds. So, one of the main reasons I'm checking along here, there is, I'm hoping, a pan that is still holding water. Literally, I think Bryan and I have checked almost every pan on Juma, and they're all dry this morning. So, I think this one might still have water if the elephants haven't splashed about in it too much. What do you think, Bryan? Yay or nay? Oh, speaking about elephants splashing around in pans. Hello, mister. He might go splash around in the pan, but he's not quite there yet. It's a lovely young bull. Quite nice, long ivory for his age. And feeding off a raisin bush. We have seen this guy a few times on quarantine in the last couple of days. Hello, little man. So, Susan, a very good morning to you, Susan. Susan is now joining us for her second elephant sighting of the morning. And Susan is wondering if I'd ever felt the skin of an elephant and what it might feel like. Also, I have edited.
We've nearly got him. He's just ahead of us in the road there. We'd be doing some interesting off-roading through the bushes, so we just slow down. And I think he's on his way for a drink. Let's go and have a look. Sorry, Abel, no problem. We're Abel's trying to squeeze across so that we can watch him walk down the, lie down in the road. There you go, you can. I've got visual, thanks, I'm behind you. Just shift forward quickly. Thanks, Abel. That's perfect. Don't worry. Thank you. We try get us a view without a vehicle in it. I think I'm just going to stop here. Let him relax a bit. Although he looks perfectly relaxed, he's found a nice spot in the shade. He's on his way to find water. I'm almost certain, and he's probably going to go and check around Treehouse Dam. But he just wanted a quick break to stop and rest after his big meal. Wow, at least we've already got one response from our request for the leopard sawing imitation. Well done, Kyle. Thank you for being a good sport. I look forward to hearing it when I get back. And while our leopard lies contented in the shade, Brent has got some playful Ellies to show you.
So, isn't this lucky? Sorry about all the gremlins, but that little pan I thought might have water does. And now we've got another Ellie bull about to join. Looks like they're having a good time in the mud. Look at this, isn't this fantastic? I'm actually quite jealous. That looks quite nice, cooling off. Oh, a bit of argy-bargy for the mud. So really important for the Ellies, it really helps them cool down. So these two young bulls seem to be hanging out together. And it's not uncommon to find young Ellie bulls in groups. Sometimes in large groups, also with older bulls. Oh, he's sharing his mud, spraying the one behind. So I think after these two are finished playing in the puddle, there's not going to be much water left in it. So we can see here how pans are enlarged. Oh, look at that. And this is how they're enlarged by elephants while they're playing or mud wallowing. And you can see they kick up the mud, spray the mud. So over time, a little pan like this might become a large pan. And you can see just behind them, there's a dry one. So eventually those two pans or those two mud wallows will join up and then become quite a lot more substantial. And you can see they've turned what little water was there. There was actually water before they arrived. They've turned it into soup. Hey, boys. Oh, look at that. Tender moment between two young bulls. Might turn into a bit of jostling. I love it when they rest their trunks over their tusks. It is great. It's a sort of just a lazy, almost, oh, it's like you putting your elbow up on the table. Oh, yes, you're so big. Just full of the joy of the morning. Nice little cool down. And now, right behind us is a big dust bath going on. So now, after kicking up all the mud onto themselves, quite often go kick up sand and then layer it on top of that mud. Look at that. Absolutely spectacular. We are very privileged to be able to spend this much time with these incredible animals, and that they are so relaxed in our presence. Off they head behind us, off into the bush to carry on feeding. But wasn't that a wonderful little interlude? Oh, Bryan, we're going to get dust baths. Oh, I can hear it landing all around us. Is it hitting you, Bryan? Not yet. Let's get out of the way quickly. Oh, we nearly got covered in dust there. He just sort of changed his angle a little bit. And you just hear the sand hitting. It sounded like the back of the vehicle almost. So, it has been a little bit frustrating, and we do apologize for all the black screen, but what a fantastic way to end this sunrise safari with these two Ellie bulls in the mud, and of course Tingana with Jamie with his bacon for breakfast. I know he's finished it and he's off on the move, so let's go catch up with Jamie and Tingana as the thumb says adieu.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it has been another one of the most extraordinary mornings that we have had, and what a perfect example of the wonderful teamwork that we have going on at WildEarth. Thank you to James for finding Tingana, and thank you to Scott for hopping on the back and being cameraman and doing an extraordinary job in filming all of the magical things we've seen today. One of the best mamba sightings ever. Sherry, just one last thing. You wanted to know if everyone at WildEarth is as good a friend as we think that, or that we seem to be, and absolutely we are. It's one of those things that we are so fortunate in having. It doesn't always happen, but when you live in the bush and you are so sort of around each other all the time in small isolated camps, we are incredibly fortunate at WildEarth to have one of the, if not the most incredible team I've ever worked with. And on that note, a big thank you to Jerry and to Nix in FC for their fantastic directing, as well as our technical department that does all kinds of stuff behind the scenes. Ladies and gentlemen, most especially, thank you to you for your questions and comments. Without you, of course, none of this would ever be possible. Have a wonderful day and join us for the Sunset Safari. Cheers, guys.
Here we go, some southern Carmine beaters. We've been noticing we haven't seen too many of them this year. And we can see it's a bit of a juvenile on the right. The colours aren't quite as striking as the one on the left. And you can see there we go, a bit of begging from the juvenile. The adult just swallowed. Oh, off goes the adult. Off to catch something else. It's moved a bit closer to us, Bryan. It's in this. Yeah, you got it. There's quite a few Carmines around this morning. I actually heard them before I saw them. You got him? There we go. Incredibly beautiful bird. Look, there's another one killing something. I can hear it. Tap, tap, tap. Back where we were. Look at that. Come out a bit. Right, there we go. Zoom in and right. Oh, it's just swallowed. No, it's still got it. Oh, it dropped it. And back. See how they often kill, looks like a wasp maybe. Even beetles, they'll beat them against the ground like that. I mean, against the branch before eating them. Oh, got it again. It took off. Needs a bit more beating, I feel. So there. Oh, isn't that incredible? Oh, and down. So that's where they get their name, bee eaters, from the fact that they do beat stinging insects to death, so they can't sting them while they swallow. As you can see, they're out of that bright red breeding plumage. And there we go. That one's got a little bit more colour. pretty in pink. So they sit on perches like that and they keep an eye out for any flying insects around and they swoop off and catch them. And it really feels like someone's just turned on the heat in the last sort of 20 minutes. It's become incredibly warm. Oh, has it caught something? Let's see. No, missed. Just checking to see if another one took off. We're hoping it might catch something. Oh! Incredibly quick when they do catch something. Highly mobile. Beautiful, beautiful sight. So Mike, our big birder from Florida, says the Carmine beaters are definitely one of his favorites on his bird list. I'm glad to show it to you again, Mike, and hopefully there might be some people who haven't seen one yet and can add this to their bird list. Oh, Bryan, which one are we on at the moment? Okay, if we come top of this little busier there, if we come out, there's a tiny little bird. Okay, we're there in the right zone. I've lost sight of it now. Oh, where's it gone? There was a tiny little flycatcher called a basis. That one's caught something again. Up on the wood there, so time. Oh, that was a small thing. We're beaten and swallowed in a matter of seconds. But it is great to have the Carmines back. We have been missing them this year. Oh, and listen to that. There's a black-crowned chagra calling. Now, there's quite a little bird gathering going on around here. It's possibly because we've got a very late flowering knobthorn that's attracting some insects. That one's caught something again. Back to the hard wood to beat it to death. And that looks like a wasp. Yep. Well, that's it. 2 kills. Safari Dean's being a comedian again this morning. Says that pink beater looks like Brent's phone. Ha 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 ha. Bryan thinks it's funny.
I had a good job.
Yes. And also, if we come across away from the birds and into what was once the Djuma Dam, a nice male Inyala. Out in the open. Just, I can't see, oh, there's some other Inyala, but way off in the distance. But just slowly moving through, feeding off some of the weeds. So while we continue on to see what else is out and about, one last second before we leave, I just want to check something before we jump back to that leopard. I want to see if it's a bird we haven't seen before. On the live drives. Oh, it's disappeared into that thicket, unfortunately. But anyway, let's jump back on with Jamie, who's with Tingana, and his pork breakfast.